Hello and welcome to Focus Hoops. Today we are interviewing the one, the only friend of Focus Hoops, Mbongeni, Greg Mpofu, the director of basketball at the brand new Manchester Basketball Club. Really exciting initiative, just starting in the Manchester area. So let's jump into it. Greg, my man, how are you doing today?
Hi, Darren. Thanks for having me. I'm doing really good, feeling good, so ready to talk.
Well, let's just jump into it then. So obviously, no longer with the Lancashire Spinners. So you're now involved in this brand new Manchester Basketball Club. So just talk to us, introduce us to this Manchester Basketball Club.
Yeah, Manchester Basketball Club is essentially been born out of an initiative that was brought at some point last year. A group of people, the fans of the idea behind that is if there are kids anywhere with nowhere to play, then there's just not enough basketball clubs. And the idea there was to get a central location, get the people in place with all their different expertise, your people who know about finance, your people who know about administration, and of course your basketball people, and just coalesce all of that to create a situation where we're providing the playing opportunities where they're needed for who they're needed.
So let's just start with that central premise of a central location. So do you know where you guys are going to be based moving forward?
Yeah, we're going to be playing our home games and practicing out of Bellevue at the NBPC. That's the National Basketball Performance Center. So the accessibility routes there are in there's a lot you got a lot of bus routes that go past that area, and it's easy to get to from the north, from the south, from the west, from the east. You're never more really than an hour away, even by public transport. So it's probably the unique selling point that we have is that you can get to us from anywhere and do so quickly.
So just straight off the bat, brand new club, brand new teams playing in one of the best venues in the entire country.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point is that, we want to provide the service to our members that, way over, the pound for pound value of their pounds. And if by doing that, you create the community atmosphere that we're looking for. You create that sort of synergy around the Manchester basketball community. And it's just, the aim that we have here is to just get as many people playing basketball as we can, with no concerns about how do I get to training every week, how do I afford training every week, and all that kind of stuff. So like I said, with the expertise of everybody involved, we're going to try and get all those bases covered as quickly as we can.
So we're talking about sustainability, finance for the players involved. How are you going to make it sustainable for players to join your club and be able to afford training and afford getting to Bellevue and etc.?
We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here in any way, shape, or form. Of course, the age-old subs model still exists and is one that we're using, but we're looking at, using what we have and not people establishing hardship funds for those players that are maybe a little bit um, on the lower end of the scale in terms of household earnings and stuff. So we just don't want the reason that someone does not play their sport to be financial. With basketball being the way it is in this country, it's a very key vehicle for social change. And with that being the case, for a lot of these kids, especially during the COVID environment, this is the one release that they have during the week to be able to get on the court with their mates and play basketball in a safe environment. To take that away from someone for the sake of finances is just unconscionable to us.
Well, I mean, from my point of view, I'm absolutely thrilled to hear that because I've known of too many very good players who have had to stop playing organized basketball because of prohibitive costs. And You want to avoid that? Absolutely.
It's an a problem in a what we recognize to be a minority sport at the moment. Even with the numbers of players that we actually do have, according to Sport England and those kind of stakeholders. But as I say, this is not something new that we're trying to do. It's just that we're working from multiple angles with the people that we have on board.
So is now I've seen a little bit of conversation, a little bit of discussion, just to touch about your launch. So you've launched this new basketball club very, very recently. Like we must be a week at the most since it launched. When did it launch, Greg?
Yeah, in terms of our official permission from BE to operate and our entry into the junior national leagues in particular, it's been actually less than a week when we're looking at it. It'll be a week tomorrow. But overall, the wheels have been in motion for quite a lot of months by the time we reach that stage. From initial discussions to planning to due diligence to getting together all the necessary paperwork that we needed to do, your club constitution, your code of conduct, safeguarding protocols, everything that you need to operate a sports club at any level in this country. That's been going on over quite a period in the background, with quite a lot of people involved officially and unofficially, whether they were working directly with us or providing support in other means. So that's just been quite a long process. But then, we had to put our foot on the accelerator once we got to a certain stage just to make sure we got it over the line and made sure that the kids can compete this season.
So again, just kicked off, just launched. Now, Manchester. Let's just talk about Manchester for a second. There's a lot of basketball in Manchester. Ordinarily, on the wall behind me, where's my thumb? There it is. I've either got an old school, a retro, beautiful Yorick Williams Manchester Giants jersey from about 1990, what is it, 94, 95? Somewhere around there, around the time where the Thames Valley Tigers got done over in a playoff final by a travel call that was an abomination. It was a brutal foul.
Run the tape.
My guy. So, yeah, I saw it yesterday and I just can't. I don't understand how this isn't like the biggest scandal in our sport. Anyway, so I've usually got that. Or I've got a Hannah. Got a beautiful GB's own Hannah Shaw jersey. And she plays for a little team. I say little team. One of the premier teams in the country called Manchester Met Mystics.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
You've heard of them. And of course, you got the men's team in the National Leagues, the Manchester Magic. Is there too much basketball? Is there too much competition? Is it, fragmenting basketball in Manchester to the detriment of the sport?
There's two things to consider here. I'll go back to one of the earliest things I said. If there are any kids with nowhere to play, there aren't enough clubs. That's a little bit axiomatic, if you ask me. And the other thing is, there's nothing preventing anything from going on in multiple places. So what Manchester Giants are doing in the BBL is something that the city needs. Really, we do need professional representation at the top of the table in British basketball. They're providing that. What Manchester Magic are doing, they've got teenagers on the floor in Senior National League every week. They've got the elite academies that they're doing in partnership with Trinity College, Laurel College, and etc. And then you've got your other clubs, your Stockports, your Lancashire Spinners, and ourselves. So we're all providing basketball at different levels with different people. Now, ultimately, when it comes down to it, you say that we're competing for numbers, which is true but not complete. You're competing for numbers, but yet there are people that are not catered for. And that's not the fault of anybody, to be fair. That's just a case of there's not enough supply to meet the demand. And that's where we come in. You know, what do they do very well? What Giants do with their stuff, they do very well. there's still a gap in the market. There's still a huge gap in the market. Even with us arriving now, there's still a lot of people that are going to go up for at the minute. And of course, we are trying to address that issue. Giants are going to try and address that issue. Magic are continually trying to address that issue. So for me, a city the size of Manchester, I don't think people outside of Manchester realize how big this city actually
Yeah.
is. There's a lot of people here. There's a lot of people that play basketball, all the way from your community league, schools basketball to national league to pro. It doesn't end. Like the only way I can describe it is that there are so many different tiers of basketball players that have something going on. If you counted every level of basketball club in the city, you'd be astonished. So me saying that is to say that it still isn't enough. So us entering the fray, as it were, can only be a good thing for everyone involved, and there's nothing stopping us from working together either.
Word from our sponsors, Notch, the mark of achievement, and we are very glad to have them on board with Focus Hoops this year. They make fantastic bracelets that look super stylish and really help you celebrate your sporting achievement. They've just launched a basketball collection, and we're really excited to be on board with them. Let's imagine that you're a player. Let's say that you're Courtney Vandersloot. You got 18 assists in a single ball game, and you want a notch and a bracelet to commemorate that fact. Well, you can do just that. Customize it to your team colors, put the year that you achieved it, and get it the exact size that you need. There are a number of the colors available. Or maybe you're a coach. Maybe you're the coach of a basketball team. Let's just say that you're the London Tyrannosaurus Rex. Your team wears red. You had the league's most valuable player, the MVP, and you want to celebrate that. You want to award them with a great looking notch bracelet. Well, you can do just that. And you can get it saying MVP on the notch itself. That's the charm. You can get the colour you want. Gold is one that I'd go for if we're commemorating the best player in the league. We could even get the team logo, if it's the Tyrannosaurus Rex, let's say, on there. And present it in a beautiful presentation case. Huge thanks for Notch for coming on board Focus Hoops. Also, let's not forget, Manchester once had two BBL clubs, the Giants and Manchester United. Go and watch their derby games on YouTube. They are worth a look. Like, I'm with you. It's a huge city. And also, when you start to consider Greater Manchester as well, that's a lot of people that need...
you have to think about it in another... Well, in the Greater Manchester area, the number of just professional football clubs that you have.
Yeah.
You look at your Bolton Wanderers, your Wigan Athletic, your obvious two Manchester clubs, Stockport County. That's just to name the ones off the top of my head. Rochdale, Oldham,
Salford City, FC United of Manchester.
Right, it goes on. Now you say obviously the numbers is important, but I count to say that our squad sizes are half what they are. So, unless football have somehow got it woefully wrong to have this many clubs in the same area, then I think we're probably on the right track.
So, I saw you guys put something out on social media yesterday, and it was about uniting the 10 boroughs of Manchester. I nearly said United then, of Manchester. Now, did the Giants come out with something similar? Like who come out with this first? Was it the Giants with their 10-10? Is it you guys? Is it the same idea? Is it different? Just talk to us through this a little bit. How are you looking to unite all of Manchester behind your club?
For me, the idea is more about representation than any particular aim to create silos in those areas. The idea is that anyone from anywhere in Manchester is welcome. That's basically what we're saying to everybody, is that, it's not the tribal, we're South Manchester, we're North Manchester, we're East Manchester. No, we're just Manchester. We're Greater Manchester. Okay? So, I mean, that's not to say if somebody had the notion to travel from Liverpool, for instance, we'd be like, oh hold on, that's not happening. That's not the idea. But for us, that's the idea, is that our name, Manchester Basketball Club, and the teams will be playing under the team names of the Manchester Swarm, by the way. The idea is that wherever you're from in Manchester, you have a home. So that's basically the top and bottom of it.
Okay, nice. So that's what you're going to be playing as. You're going to be the Manchester Swarm.
Yeah, that's what the team's going to be competing as in the national leagues. Yes.
So shall we break down this logo then? Shall we have a?
Yeah, sure. So as we
So
take a look at the composition of the logo, the obvious thing that you see first of all is the worker bee in the middle. That is become a huge symbol of Manchester, particularly post 2017 and what happened with the Manchester Arena bombings. It's been a symbol of the city for a very long time, but it's come to prominence since then. So that's a massive part of our identity and where the name Swarm comes from. The obvious basketball in the background, just to sort of make it clear what sport it is that we're participating in. The team names are not in the logo for the simple reason of that it can become a little bit redundant to have that. Because we aim for the club to represent a lot of different aspects of basketball, from your, like I said, community to schools to national league. And we want all of those things to have their own separate identity that meets in the middle.
I like that a lot. I like the idea that you're like you're a bit like I don't know, like a big sporting society almost, but for basketball, and players can move through the levels. Would the different teams with their different identities, would they have maybe different names? Like you've got Swarm, the Work. I don't know what you call them. The Workers, the Queen. I don't know, whatever. But and players maybe like graduate through different levels of team as they come up, but it's still under the Manchester umbrella.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we're doing is based off lessons, good and bad, from elsewhere. So one of the good lessons we've taken is a lot of people don't realize something about your Manchester Magic and Mystics. If you go on BE and look for a club called Manchester Magic, you're going to draw a blank. That's not a club name. That's a team name. The club is Greater Manchester Community Basketball. So, taking from that lesson is that you don't want to sort of just tie yourself to that singular brand in terms of your club identity. But every time you hear the name Manchester Magic, you know who you're speaking of. So that's going to be your national league, as it were, for a long time in Division 1, in Division 2 now, and in the junior national leagues. Manchester Mystics, you know what you're talking about there. But people, when they speak about that, they're not talking about the community program. They're not talking about the schools program. They're not necessarily talking about the academy program either. So there's a lot going on beyond, what they instantly recognize with those names, and that all comes together under the single umbrella of Greater Manchester Community Basketball. And that's pretty much the same as what we're going to be doing.
So you've alluded to it a few times. What teams are we going to see representing Manchester Basketball Club maybe this year, maybe moving forward? What are your plans?
Yeah, so straight away, the most urgent situation that we had to deal with was getting the entries sorted out for the under 16 and under 18 boys. And so that's been done. They'll be beginning their competition on the 7th of November for the under 18s, their first league game. And the under 16s will be beginning their schedule after that. We're looking also to include the senior men in that conversation. And down the road, we want to expand the club to all age groups, and both genders. Want to have under 14, under 16, under 18 boys and girls, senior men and women. Your central venue / community leagues down below that, your school competitions, your school coaching, etc., going on way beyond that. So, I mean, it's going to be a long road for sure, but we have a certain roadmap that we know we want to follow, and we have the people that we can lean on to support us and direct us where we need to be.
Wheelchair basketball, walking basketball, all these sorts of things down the journey. And we're talking down the journey, but are those things that appeal to, making it as inclusive as possible?
Yeah, if there's a round ball involved, we want to be in. That's basically where we're at. I mean, that's sort of our long-term view, is that whatever involves basketball, we want to be in that.
So can I try and sum up what I perceive your long-term goals to be? Is just community-centered, sustainable basketball for the whole of Manchester, wherever you're from. You have a home with us if you want it. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, that's basically the summary of it. It's just sometimes you get caught up in, and it's very easy to get caught up in the idea of compete, compete, compete. But what you don't want to forget is who you're doing it for and why. There's if you think about it, out of everybody that will come through the doors over the next 1 to 5 years, less than 5% of those will continue playing after the age of 20. But there'll still be a role for them in the sport, I suppose. And that's kind of our remit, to provide those avenues continually, whether you're going to be coaching community players or junior national league players, refereeing, officiating, administrating. Anything where you can provide your expertise is what we want to provide for everybody, whether or not you're hoping to be the next Miles Hessen, for example. That's irrelevant. Wherever you end up is where you end up. We just want to provide that opportunity.
I think final one really, but what is your role on this journey with Manchester Basketball Club?
Beyond the obvious coaching, which I will be doing, I basically have the responsibility of overseeing the program, the development of the players, the development of the coaches, planning how and where we're going to integrate teams and players, building the community program, building the schools program, basically directing the short, medium, and long-term basketball direction of the club in terms of what it is that we're going to be doing on the court with whoever, at whatever level. And as much as that is my responsibility, I'm not doing it alone. I've got the people above me that are supporting me, that I've got other people from outside that I can lean on and have conversations with, that are providing advice as to where to start and how to approach certain aspects of the job. We've already had a lot of that as up to this point, which is still very early, so we're definitely grateful for that. So I'm basically just the head of a very long arrow at this point in terms of getting that underway.
So you've got a lot of responsibility, but you've got a lot of people working with you.
Yeah, it's as much as it's a huge responsibility. Like I said before, I'm not working in isolation here. I've got a lot of people I can lean on. They've all made themselves very obviously available to me, and there's a lot of ideas flying about at the minute. It's just a case of getting hold of the initial, I suppose, urgency of where we needed to be for getting the kids ready for competition come November 7th, to now slowing the pace down a bit and being a little bit more considered as to what the next step is. And the roadmap is a long one, but we need to make sure we hit every goal on the way.
Well, Greg, we're really excited for you. We're excited for Manchester Basketball Club. We're excited for Manchester Basketball. We're going to be with you every step of this journey, checking in and wishing you all of the success. Is there anybody that you would like to, thank or praise, or just let them know their role in this, getting to this point?
The people who are involved in an official capacity, from the chairman Richard Mortimer, vice chairman Steve Mercado, and those are sort of like the two early drivers of what we're doing. And then you've got Joe Ferguson, who's our secretary and treasurer, who's done a hell of a lot of work over the last 2 weeks. I think you'd be horrified if you heard what she's had to be getting done in just such a short space of time, but she's managed to do it. Nicola Conroy, and of course Guy Rose, Vinnie Benton, who are also involved in the development of the juniors, and they coach the juniors as well. And a few people in the background who I'm not quite sure if they want to be named at this stage, but definitely know that I'm acknowledging your assistance, and we do appreciate it.
All right. Well, Greg, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for coming on and telling us about your really exciting new venture. And again, I'm sure everybody watching this, and I know myself, we are super excited to see what the future of the Manchester Basketball Club holds. So, Greg, thank you so much.
If you want to keep up with what's going on with us. We're easy to find. It's at MCR B-Ball Club, wherever you get your social media fix. It's a unified handle, which I think was pretty important. We got on that early. So yeah, just check us out, give us a follow. And any kind of feedback that you get is always welcome. You know, we're here for the conversation. We're not claiming to be the only experts in what we do. We definitely invite anybody to have their say.
And if you enjoyed this chat with Greg, we've got loads more on our YouTube channel and our social and our podcasting over at Spotify or wherever it is you get your podcasts. And if you liked Greg in particular, we've got loads of videos with you, haven't we, from the WNBA show all summer long. And maybe, just maybe, Greg will be able to join us on the Kaz and Daz show every Thursday from 8 p.m. on our YouTube and our Facebook Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Greg, and we will speak to you very soon.
Thank you, Darren. Hear the buzz.